So welcome to Steven Ziegler to the 13-minute podcast. Now you thought this was a 13-minute podcast, admit it.
I did. I mean, it's a 13-minute podcast.
We're just rebranding and it's 13 minutes. Why every man needs a why, because it's a tragic statistic that we are going to change. Unfortunately, every 13 minutes in this country, a man takes his life.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
80% of suicides are males. Now, this isn't a podcast about suicide. Dave and I are all about living life to the fullest, and we're bringing guys on to our podcast, like you, Steve, that are really living their purpose, their why. And so that's what we're going to dig into, and it might go more than 13 minutes. So
I've got all day.
Set expectations.
Are you on the journey, the path to enlightenment, Steve?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying every day.
Yeah. When did you realize that you were just as fucked up as the rest of us?
Probably when I got into peer groups, honestly, because that's where things started to get unveiled.
What was the motivation to join, though? Was there pain?
There wasn't. It was more, it just seemed like the peer group I got into, EO, which, you were in as well. At the time, it was called YEO, Young Entrepreneurs Organization. And I knew some people in it, and I just wanted to hang out with those people.
Yeah.
And it was as basic and simple as that. I thought, I want to be around those people.
Give us some context. When was that?
It was 1999, 2000.
Wow.
I think 2000 when I officially got in. And if someone, I think Dave, Mike Gelman.
Yeah.
So he and I used to run around, and he was had a really well-known business, and I knew some of the other people that were in the group as well, but I had run around with Mike, and I thought, wow, if he's doing it, I definitely want to do it.
Were you like me? You thought everybody else had it figured out except you?
Yeah.
How old were you?
But nobody did.
How old was I? Gosh. Well,
40.
I was like 29.
Oh, 30. Yeah. Sorry.
Were you married already?
No, Cheryl and I, my wife.
You didn't just
my
say
current
wife.
Freudian slip.
We can
My
edit,
only-
we'll
my
edit
only
that
wife.
out.
Sorry, Cheryl.
She's not watching this. Come on.
We were dating at the time. Yeah. So yeah, getting into an actual forum group, it's like that started changing things. Just the way I thought, the way I interacted with, at the time it was all men. Actually, I take that back. There was, we had 2 women in our forum, but it started just changing, how you share, and kind of opened me up to not everything's perfect, whether it's someone's business or their personal life or family life or what have you.
And prior to that, you hadn't had any types of those experiences, a peer group experience, therapeutic experience?
None.
Wow.
No.
The structure of peer group is what I think is the secret sauce. You're a pretty structured guy, because I know you outside of here, obviously. Did you start to dig deeper, think harder, or at 29 was it too soon to kind of realize where you were at psychologically, mentally? Did you feel healthy at the time? And if not, what did you do?
Kind of trying to remember where my head was back then, but there was just a lot of excitement and enthusiasm to have your own business, and then to hang out with other people that had their own businesses, and young people and entrepreneurs who, kind of didn't think like corporate people and didn't act like corporate people, and people that just kind of marched to their own tune. That was probably the first couple years, was just like, I'm in this cool business group.
And if you're like me and like so many others, was there a loneliness before you joined that was maybe part of the draw?
I wouldn't classify it as loneliness, but I never felt like I had other people to talk to about business related issues.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of friends, but they were friends that were going more the corporate route, if you will, or maybe they're in education or something.
And I've found too that my friends that aren't business owners, we don't necessarily go as deep. We don't have alignment around
100%
the journey. Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys, because I don't come from the EO, YPO world from peer groups. I come from the other side, more of a spiritual bent. when you started these peer groups, I mean, they were business in orientation. At least that's how it was presented, correct? You didn't
Yeah.
necessarily
The-
go for
The
vulnerability.
draw was business, but you stayed for the vulnerability.
So was it pretty easy to get people to make that transition from business to going deeper to what a peer group really is?
It was for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know what I didn't know, but I mean, it was like, finally there's a safe environment where I can be myself and be open and be scared and be lonely and get support around it.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, different people went deeper than others.
Mhm.
And the forum group I first joined, I think there was 3 of us that were brand new to EO. And we were younger, and there was some really experienced forum members, or, they had been in it for several years. And so it was nice. It was a nice mix, but yeah, some people shared a lot, and some people in hindsight probably held on to a lot, but it started the evolution of understanding about sharing, and like Dave said, safe place, and getting kind of the pump prime for where I am today.
So it's not pitched as a business group. It happens to be you all are in business and you talk about anything and everything in a peer group.
Yeah. Those organizations are looking for business owners, or at least guys that are running big businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's the velvet curtain that they want you to step behind. Like, if you meet these criteria, then you get there and you realize, this is just me talking, but I think most business owners are dysfunctional at heart, because that's why we're in business for ourselves.
That's why you don't work for somebody else.
We don't like structure. We don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
But then there's the other side of it, is like, I'm a loose cannon. I haven't resolved my, parent issues, or, whatever dysfunction I came from. And then in peer group is where I believe, for so many of us, we've been able to work all that stuff out together with our peers.
Well, and I think too, if you can think back to 2000, 25 years ago, EO was pitched first and foremost business, and then the personal and family stuff came. There was a lot of younger people in EO at the time, in particular in their 20s and 30s. And so if I was in EO like 17 years roughly, and every few years when I kind of think back to milestones, I think the value add of EO became more personal and family, and not just business, because people were evolving in our society, the way society looks at mental health and therapy. It was all changing, at that time.
It's becoming more of the norm.
I haven't been to an EO event in the last few years, but I know from the EO alumni reunions that I've hosted, people are, talking about personal things, and there's been all sorts of trauma and divorces, and some of those people are still in EO, and it's just positioned differently, I think, than 25 years ago.
And also my experience is that you and I, and B specifically, because we also happen to be in a peer group together, we've yearned for more depth. I feel like we've dug deeper. And so we found out how to create that on our own.
I witnessed that just that first 10 years I was in EO. Is in my forum, there was quite a few people that came and went, and not necessarily for bad reasons, but it's just part of forum over 10 years. But a lot of people in hindsight that probably left, they were scared to go deeper, or they just weren't interested.
Yeah.
And then the people that really hung on and were in it for the consistent kind of crew are the crew that, were going deeper and sharing, and they were probably getting more out of it because they were, being more vulnerable.
Why didn't you stay in EO? You were for 17 years, you said?
Yeah, EO had, well, at first it was just 40 and under, and then they kind of lifted the age limitation. But I'm trying to remember back. I mean, basically, I felt like it had run its course for me. It'd been a long time. And I did go through a program they offered that's hosted at MIT called, it was called Birthing of Giants. And then now it's called Entrepreneurial Masters Program, EMP. And I went through that as kind of my last thing I did. it just felt like it was the right time. I'm involved in peer groups. I haven't stopped being involved in peer groups, but EO kind of came to an end then.
Well, truth and advertising, you're part of Man Uprising, now known as Men's Peer Groups. You're
Right.
an original, an OG.
Do you know that we changed our name to Men's Peer
I do.
Group, Steve? Okay,
I
good.
saw the
Good.
brochure, and
Good.
I think it looks great. I actually shared it with Cheryl just to get her feedback from a female perspective.
And you've continued to do the work. You just recently finished Hoffman. You've been in peer
Yep.
groups for the last 3 or 4 years with us. Before
Mhm.
that, you were part of another peer group organization that we were all in.
Yep.
So what's the deal, man? Like what's going on?
Well, it's just hard to. I think it'd be hard to do life without them.
Yeah. Amen.
You know, you get so accustomed to having that cadence of a monthly check-in and going through highs and lows and just feeling bonded to a group of, people. And in a lot of cases, I actually had some women in my forums over the years, which was fantastic. But you just get comfortable with that rhythm, that cadence, and then to not have it, because I didn't have it actually probably for a few years, but I wanted it and I needed it. So I can't imagine not having it in my life. It would be, I don't know, it'd be like going to the gym and just not having a plan and not having a trainer or someone, an accountability partner. And what do you really do at the gym if you don't have any of those, one of those three options?
Yeah, it feels like unconditional support to me, and just knowing that my peer group, feels comfortable with where I'm at and where I'm heading. That's a huge validation for me personally. Do you feel that way?
I do. And I also, even though I have an incredible community and network of friends and through lots of different ways in life, there so many, as someone mentioned earlier in this conversation, you just can't go deep with them.
Yeah.
And you just don't have those deep conversations. And as I age, I don't know about you guys, but my life gets more complicated. There's just more complications with everything, relationships, personal relationships, kids, family members, aging parents, etc. And you need someone, or I need someone to actually talk through these things. And it's also nice to hear that other people are going through similar situations that can help mold or, help me kind of guide me on the decisions I'm going to make.
Well said.
I've seen a common denominator with the men and men's peer groups. Most everybody says the same thing, that, in the old days, they might have gone to the tribe. We don't have tribes anymore. The elders, we don't have elders anymore. The father, that I certainly don't have that father to go to be the sounding board, to talk through. And I do believe men's peer groups is really serving that function.
100%. I mean, I love how it's evolved just in the last several years, and it's just getting better and better.
So, what was your, did you have a bottom, Steve, where you felt like, man, I feel like things can't get much worse. I got to climb my way out of this.
I remember after 9/11, like, business was so difficult for my firm for a couple of years, or probably 3 years. And of course, there was a lot of exciting things going on at that point in my life, because I was getting married and, planning the wedding and all those things. So that was a really weird time, because business was not doing well at all. And I was entering into this, new kind of phase in life with business not doing really well. So that was a tough time. A really tough time was when I left. I had a partnership that I left in 2013. That was awful. That was, one of my all-time lows, because of a variety of reasons. But basically, I didn't want to be in business with this guy, and I felt I had to leave, and I didn't initially leave the way I wanted to leave, but I just needed out. Like, there was nothing more important than just like getting out of that. So I probably didn't unwind it in hindsight, like, to put me in the best situation, but maybe in hindsight it was just because I got out, and I got out quick.
And were peer groups a part of your roadmap to get out and to rebuild?
They were. I can't remember. I know I presented and
Yeah.
I had people supporting. I'm forgetting actually some of the details, but I know they were there because I was right in.
Note to
for 'em.
self: don't invite guests who can't remember.
Yeah,
We talk about that
because I got so much history on peer group stick.
But what does that mean
You know too much.
for people listening? You presented, because I think it's an important
Oh yeah,
opportunity.
So all the peer groups I've been a part of, there's always presentations on some sort of topic or situation or challenge that someone's being faced with. And sometimes those are just, presentations that just come about and kind of something just happened like last week, or it could be something that's been building for like some time. So I know I relied on my forum. I know that for certain. Because it was a traumatic time. We had the birth of our third child. I had a business partner I didn't respect. And it was just like unbelievable good things with having our third child, and but unbelievable bad things with my baby business. Basically I was leaving, and the person who was taking over it, I was not leaving it in good hands.
You're interested in the fact that you've spent the bulk of your business life in peer groups, so you really don't know any different.
Yeah,
and you even made the comment of the 2 or 3 years you were out, like you yearned for that as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're a great example of somebody who's always believed in it and had that support. We're finding that unfortunately so many men feel so alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess just an acknowledgement to you of you saw the big picture. You were able to understand that going it alone is not the answer. Agreed?
100%. I mean, I always was blown away by people that would question the value of being an EO. Because that was the peer group I was in the longest. And then even our former peer group before Man Uprising or men's peer group, Ascender.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people that just struggled with the value, and we were hardly even charging for it. I mean, it was actually pathetic.
Right.
People struggling without having really experienced it.
Well, people that were even experiencing it, but still would struggle with like a nominal.
They were so hung up on the dollar amount, they
Yeah.
couldn't see the big picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's common in all these organizations.
It is.
That's why we only charge $10,000. So.
There you go.
Oh wait, no, it's only a fraction of that.
I mean,
if you sign up today, it's only 10%.
Wait, there's more.
Dave and I had, logged many, many hours just blown away that people were struggling with this.
Yeah.
So I never, and the thing is, organizations like EO and YPO and Vistage, I mean, it's well over $10,000 to participate in each of those organizations. And then there's so many other costs associated with it.
Can we flash across the screen right now the cost of men's peer groups compared to that?
Our phones are blowing up.
I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but YPO's, it's easily $20,000.
Is it really?
Easily
north of 15,000. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, the dues, depending on the chapter, maybe around 12 to 15, but then you could spend easily another $20,000 just on travel and events and things.
Well, I mean, this goes back to mental health therapy, life coaches. I'm of the mindset that we all need help. We all need each other. None of us can do it alone. That's just my 2 cents. Peer group is another option besides therapy, besides life coaches. I think the value of peer group is you do it in a community versus going in. And I've experienced a lot of, professional therapy in my life, and I'm grateful for all of it. I learned a ton. But for me to sit across from a professionally trained therapist who's just listening, essentially, there's not a peerness there, right? Versus sitting in a circle with peers of about the same age, of about the same stages in life, and we're sharing our pain together.
And I would take it a step further and say that, when I'm doing therapy or coaching with a guy, for him to be able to bare his soul, to share whatever it is he's going through with me is one thing. To be able to do it in a group of 9 other guys, totally different thing, right? Infinitely more important to do it in a safe space with other men.
And I had this thought literally this morning. My wife has accused me in times and other females in my life as well. You lack empathy. And I was thinking, boy, I don't lack empathy in peer group. I mean, if somebody starts getting emotional in peer group, I mean, I feel I'm with them every step of the way. So I feel the most empathy when I'm in peer group.
Yeah. And for me, it's been this amazing opportunity to change the game, change the rules. I learned how to be around men, on the ball field,
right,
or in competition or in business, whatever. You go into a space where there is no competition.
Yeah.
The rules are totally different. Has been transformative for me.
Yeah.
To be around men who can hold that space.
And one of the secret sauces, again, to the peer groups that we've been in and learned from is we don't give advice. We just share our experiences. And for me, I think that's incredibly valuable. I don't want to be told what to do. None of us want to be told what to do. But man, I want to hear your story because that inspires me.
I think another point I'd bring up, you mentioned a lot of the peer groups, people may be the same age and stage in life, but a lot of the ones, or my early forums, we actually had people that were, just starting families. And then we had people that had kids in high school.
Yeah.
And there was people that didn't have kids, period. So I actually loved being around, a variety of different phases in life.
Yeah.
So I just want to point out that it doesn't have to be all the same.
One of the things we're doing is we're starting up our first 20-something peer group.
Yeah.
And so really excited about that. But then can we start pairing up peer groups, or have collective events where the 20s and the 50s get to be around each other, back to recreating the tribe so that we have influence
100%.
both
And
directions.
legacy.
I don't see why not. I mean, anyone that's wants to be in a peer group, it doesn't matter what age or stage you are in life. That has nothing to do with it. It has to do with just sharing, being vulnerable, listening, and learning from others, whether they're older or younger. It doesn't matter. We're all going to learn something. I love being around people that are half my age because they look at things totally different.
Yeah.
And sometimes I totally don't get it, but I appreciate it, and it helps open my mind to just seeing things differently.
You're an incredible networker. I've always been in awe of how you connect people and put people together. Where does that come from? What's the motivation behind that? Does that come to you naturally?
I mean, it comes naturally for sure. I mean, it's effort, but I don't look at it as hard or work.
Yeah.
I think it comes from, I think my mom actually has a part of her personality where she likes to communicate and just keep everyone apprised in the family and friends of what's going on, whether it's, my father's illness or, just whatever the situation is. She's the kind of the communicator.
Yeah.
So I probably get that from her. I'm not sure though exactly why it's evolved to where it is. I think probably because the business I'm in as well is very much a relationship oriented business. So
which comes first, the chicken or the egg? That's why you're in that business.
I know. I don't know.
Can
I wasn't necessarily wired that way in college. I wasn't organizing, parties and all of those kinds of college.
Can I tell you what I see
Sure.
about you?
I'd love to hear it.
Because I'm the newest one in our peer group to the community, and I've gotten to witness your superpower in action. Because you've introduced me to so many people around town. Sometimes it's the people are extroverts, right? And they just make their life being connectors. And you definitely have that ability. But I don't think that that's really what it is. Getting to know you, you're an Enneagram 1, right? A reformer, but 1s are good, right? They're principled. My son's a 1. I see the same thing with him. It isn't that he runs around creating community. It's that he draws to him people because they trust him.
Mm.
Right? He's just a good guy. And that's what I've seen with you. I'm not blowing smoke. I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah.
That people around town just say, Steve, he's a good guy. And when you have that, it becomes like an anchor point in our lives. And I just think that's true for a lot of people. That's been my experience around town.
That's cool. What's your experience, Dave? Why do you think?
Why do you think he's a good guy?
Yeah.
I think you're
Why
an
do you think
asshole.
I'm a
I'm only here
connector?
because of
Nobody's
podcast.
ever called Steve an asshole.
It just
I'm
happened,
sure
folks.
They have.
I love being around you, and I feel your heart, and I want to always prop you up and give you. You're really good at recognizing others, and I like to recognize you. It's almost kind of a challenge. It's we don't need. Your wife's had a lot of success in her field as a psychologist locally. She gets a lot of media attention. She's written some books. And one of the things that pops up to me is, yeah, but let's talk about Steve. He's freaking awesome. Her husband's a great dude. So, my natural reaction to you is I just think you're a stud and I love being around you and I love what you're doing. I also wonder if you're taking time for yourself, but I know through peer groups, you've recently done Hoffman. I feel like you're getting what you need, it seems, but if you're not, here's the time to ask.
I appreciate the kind words, B and Dave. Something just occurred to me as we're talking about this. I think one of the things that's the reason why I bring a lot of people together is because I don't want anyone to feel left out.
Yeah, love that.
So I remember at points in my childhood, more around middle school and sometimes high school, because I had to move from high schools because we relocated. And there was times where I was just left out because I was new or awkward or, whatever the situation was. And I really want people to feel like a part of something, because I probably didn't feel part of something at times in my life.
I love it.
So, now I get to go to the other side of kissing your ass and challenge you. The Enneagram ones that I know, they don't have people around them criticizing them nearly as much as they're criticizing themselves.
Right.
They hold the highest standard for themselves, almost an impossible bar.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably also pretty true about you. I'd love to hear that on your journey as well.
Yeah. I mean, you and I've talked about that before. If I make a mistake or do something wrong, like no one is going to scrutinize or beat me up more than myself. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's, a mistake like in a sporting event or like on the tennis court or something in life or business. I mean, I'm ruthless on myself. So that is, I guess, the downside, one of the big downsides to being an Enneagram 1.
Have you been working on that? Are you working on a plan to resolve it, or is it part of the journey?
That's a good question. That's a fair question. I probably haven't been, actually. I mean, I went through the Hoffman process in January of this year, and there's a whole exercise or series of exercises around forgiveness. And so, there was a lot of time spent on that, but it's easy to fall back into your patterns and ways.
Yeah. And we're talking about forgiveness, self-forgiveness.
Yes.
In that concept.
Yeah. Yeah. There's forgiveness at Hoffman for
Yeah.
others that may have wronged you in life or whatever, but then self-forgiveness.
So that's what we brought here.
Important one.
We want to do an exploration live on camera. I'm just kidding.
All right, let's do it.
Why don't you forgive yourself?
Well, I think I do have forgiven myself for a lot of, items over the years, but in the moment, I'm definitely really rough on myself. And I'm not sure. I mean, I just hate when I make stupid mistakes, as I will classify them.
And as a guy who's been around you for a long time, we don't see it for sure. You probably know that, but it might be illogical. There's nothing I've seen you do, and you've told me most of the stories that I would deem you as, anything but forgivable and normal.
Well, a lot of them are just silly things, that don't matter, but I, there's things about the way I've, reacted to my kids, things that I kind of parenting styles that I had, 10 years ago that I cringe when I think back to them, so those things are the hard ones to forgive.
Yeah.
Because they're your kids and you're like, oh my God, why did I say the things I did or not express the emotions or the empathy or validate their emotions? That was a big thing for me.
It's interesting you bring that up because I have an awesome mentor that you guys know about, Warren Rustan. And I remember him teaching my family years ago, it's one thing to apologize, because our kids were like, yeah, I know, you're sorry. You're going to just do it again. Mm-hmm. We were struggling with that as a family. And Warren suggested it's one thing to apologize, it's another thing to ask for forgiveness. And
Yeah.
actually we've instituted that as part of our, mechanism in our family. And I just realized that right now, but you're right. I mean, asking for forgiveness is incredibly powerful, and to ourselves, even probably harder.
Well, you said you don't know why you didn't. I would challenge, how were you supposed to? You learn these things,
Mm.
right? Did you, I mean, I don't, you can say it's not fair game to go there, but did you learn these things growing up?
Yeah, I mean, as far as, are you talking about like parenting styles or something?
Parenting styles, more empathy,
Yeah.
self-forgiveness, all of these kind of
Well,
pieces.
yeah, I mean, I think most people, I can't speak for most people, but for myself, I definitely, the way I react to situations in life, mostly we'll talk about parenting, has been the way I witnessed my parents reacting to situations when I was a child. So those are patterns, that I have taken on, some of my mom, some of my father, and then there's good patterns and there's bad patterns from both sides. But, one of the things that Hoffman really is centered around is patterns, and you start learning patterns when you're an infant. I mean, right when you're born, you're absorbing patterns from your parents. And then over time, those patterns, will create, or your kids will take those patterns from you. So at some point, you want to break the cycle of the negative patterns. And Hoffman has a whole week-long process that's centered around breaking the patterns, recognizing the patterns, and forgiving yourself and breaking the patterns. So, and then there's a lot of exercises and exercises on how to keep abreast of or stay attuned with what's happening and to, move on in life. So
Where do you see yourself right now? Like, how are you showing up today as a parent, as a spouse?
Well, I definitely am a lot better now than I was years ago. And I feel like this year has been a much better year than last year.
Great.
But it's hard,
Isn't that the goal for all of us? Like, just keep getting better.
Well, almost just one day at a time.
Yeah.
I
Steven's
definitely
not an alcoholic, for the listening public, by the way.
Yeah. The Hoffman thing is like a crash course of therapy, of decades of therapy, all like put into
a weekend.
1 week.
Yeah.
And then, but that's the easy part. That's actually the easy part.
Yeah.
They make it kind of fun. It's super intense. You're with nature, you're no electronics. But the hard part really starts when you get back into real life.
Yeah. Reintegration.
In fact, they don't even want you to, you always end on a Friday afternoon and they say, don't go straight home. You actually plan to stay somewhere, just in a hotel or some sort. There's a lot of gorgeous places in Northern California where the Hoffman location I went to was, and you basically just remove yourself for 2-3 days before you fly home or drive home. Yeah. So it's hard, but like we've got our peer group. Hoffman actually has alumni. It's a form of peer group, alumni gatherings once a month at someone's house. Like here in Denver, they have there'll be 20 people that'll show up once a month.
Are you participating?
I do. I haven't been to every single one, but I've been to like half of them. They also have one in Boulder. So all the communities in the U.S., every major city has some sort of Hoffman alumni gathering.
So you really are a great role model for peer group, for staying connected, the way you network. I mean, it sounds like that part of your roadmap to where you're going in your life is all this connectivity and pureness and support.
That I have taken that to a level of, if I stay connected with the right people, they know the stories of that part of my life. And if they weren't there, there's no witness to that story.
Yeah.
So I was just texting with a guy I met in Hoffman, who's an incredibly famous actor right now, like one of the most famous actors in the world right now. And I was texting with him and just, hey, how's it going? And he's like, oh, I'm really just so busy with work, and it's so great to hear from you. And I shared something. I'd heard someone talk about him Brad Pitt was talking about this actor. And I was like, gosh, I listened to this and I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. I didn't know if you were aware of that. And he's like, I wasn't. And he's like, thanks for sharing. That really made me feel special, and this is
Isn't
like
that funny?
an Oscar, nominated actor.
Yeah.
So the reason why I particularly stay connected with him is not because of his celebrity. It's because he and I were like 3 feet apart from Hoffman, where we sat almost every day and went through some of the most intense exercises I've ever been through.
Yeah.
And so he and I like just had this weird, I heard a lot of his stuff. He heard a lot of my stuff. But I stay in touch with like a lot of these Hoffman people. Like there was someone in town, she works for Katy Perry, and she was in town, and I had lunch with her, and it was so awesome to have lunch with her. Cause again, she and I had gone through something that no one else witnessed. I mean, 39 other people witnessed what I went through, and probably half of them I'm still talking to. So I think
you're
it's
suggesting that
important.
famous people are fucked up too?
Shocker.
I mean,
No different than us.
a lot of these famous people have come out and talked about it, and they're no different.
Our society needs it.
They're no different.
Yeah.
I mean, you
No
don't
doubt.
even know. I didn't even know this guy was who he was during the process. You just know first names. And
Yep.
So
I didn't
back to your
recognize him.
ability to sort of connect. Some people collect cars or whatever. I've noticed you collect people. You have a lot of people in your world. I remember it hit you pretty hard a while back. A good friend of your died.
Mhm.
Yeah.
His anniversary was yesterday, actually.
Oh, wow.
I guess maybe that's why.
His anniversary of his death was yesterday.
What's his name?
Kurt Schuyler.
Oh, man.
It was a tough day yesterday.
I'm not the psychic in the family, but I feel like I just kind of felt, I don't know why, I felt called to kind of name that.
Yeah, that was really rough to actually say goodbye to someone on their very last day. And it was hard to know. They said he knew we were there, but it's hard to know.
Yeah.
Was that your first contemporary who died in your life that you were close
No,
with?
unfortunately, there's of course a lot of elderly people that are kind of expected to pass, but unfortunately there's like 4 or 5 EO members that have passed from Colorado.
Yep.
And I had a childhood friend who passed. I'm losing track now. It's been like 15 years.
Yeah.
And just a car crash. So, but yeah, Kurt Schuyler died a year ago. It was awful. And unfortunately, the last image of him is still seared in my mind, and it was an image I don't want to have, because his body was so, depleted.
Yeah.
So how do you, well, I guess, the podcast is called 13 Minutes, Why Every Man Needs a Why. So I guess that takes me into like, what's Steve Ziegler's why?
I have a why, and all of a sudden I'm completely spacing the exact wording of it.
Okay, just talk it out.
But my why is, it's killing me. Right now I'm thinking about Kurt.
Well, I feel like they're connected, knowing you.
Well, I'll say before I answer your question, I'll say another thing about Kurt. He did not have a forum. And I think if he did, it would have ended differently, or it wouldn't have ended.
Wow.
I think the last 2 years of his life, he wasn't connected. And in hindsight, I'm really upset that I didn't stay as connected to him. He had some big time family stuff, extended family things. He had just some random health things that happened that shouldn't lead to his passing, but they ended up, being a catalyst. But I think, he didn't have a safe place, and he was keeping a lot of it inside. And, I've talked to, some of my very close friends that were all very connected to him. And I'm convinced if he had had a forum, it would have been a different outcome.
one of our mantras in peer groups has always been better together. And, you know, there's a million great things that we've all experienced because we've all been in this world for a long time as middle-aged men. This notion that men believe or feel or have been taught that they can go it alone and they can, figure it out alone. Maybe, but why? I always wonder, like, why? It's so much more fun. It's so much better together. And to your point, I wish Kurt would have had that too. And that's what we're doing here. We're trying to get other men to, get on the journey with us.
I've given that a lot of thought the last year, and my two really good friends that were also very tight with Kurt, they're not a part of, or one of them is a part of a faith-based forum. The other one isn't a part of any forum. But I've talked to my friend Ted, who's a part of the faith-based forum, and I'm just convinced that Kurt didn't have a safe place to talk to peers. He had kind of disconnected himself from the business community, which at one point he was very dialed into.
Which is what we see in these men that commit suicide. They start retreating from life and people and relationships.
He did not commit suicide, just for the record. It was liver failure, and it was tragic, and a tragedy that was preventable. Yeah. And I really, really believe that peer groups are crucial to men's lives.
Amen.
Well, I want to come back to your why. I'm not letting you off because let me tell you what my experience has been. I've gone through since we've known each other, a few rough spots. And you're the first one usually to call me, like not even just text, like call. And even if we didn't connect, you left a message, or it's happened a couple times. And I feel like it's a superpower that needs to be named. Not everybody has that or has developed that. And I imagine it's what Kurt experienced, is to be seen, right? Just to be seen by another man, by another human being, but another man. It's wrapped up in this, who is Steve Ziegler's why?
So my why is to invite people in with trust, to build teams that win together.
Nice.
Which I feel like is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Well, mine's a little more esoteric, but...
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you feel loved, Steve?
Always when around you guys.
Oh,
for
wow.
Sure.
That's awesome.
Always.
Do you really feel cared for, though, in this world?
Yeah. I mean, I surround myself and spend more time with people at this point in my life that, are involved in peer groups. And whether they're in my actual forum group or not, it's just people that come from that community. They're more enjoyable to be around.
And I hear you, and I feel the same way. But as a guy who's probably a little more, I don't know, I'm harder to be around, I guess, than a guy like you in my experience.
Yeah, that's true.
B's shaking his head, yes. When we talk about you, I don't care what the venue is or who the people are. Folks that know you love you. I mean, my wife and I, as an example, go, we love Steve Ziegler anytime your name comes up. So I think that's really important. And I just want to validate you with that acknowledgement that you are a very loved man. And you love us in return. Like, you do a lot to make people feel good and valued and included, to your earlier point.
I appreciate sharing that. I never doubted it, but it's still nice to really hear. And
so do you forgive yourself?
I'm still...
You don't have to answer.
I'm still thinking of silly things that I should forgive myself for that I have a hard time letting go.
Before we wrap up, I want to talk about one last thing.
Yeah.
I watched you take your father on a major trip
story.
to Europe. I think you did. Would you tell us about that? Because it's like, I look at those things and I long for those opportunities. And I say it not like because I'm envious, but I was admiring the way you took your father on this trip.
Well, my father was gone a lot as a child. He traveled for work, and when he was home, he would work on the house, work on the landscaping. he was always doing things, and he wasn't really the father that was at the ball games and things. So, that was because he never had a father, or his father passed when he was 9, and he just never had learned how to be a father, was kind of the story I've come up with. So I forgave him years ago on that through, having like actually writing letters to him. And I just know that that's who he is and whatever, but at that stage in his life. But as a grandfather, he's great. He's been a fantastic grandfather, and he and I have had a great relationship, and we've had some times 2 opportunities to travel, just him and I. The first one was to Greece, but the second one just presented itself kind of last minute. He was invited to go to Germany to tour around with an older couple that he's got to know over the last 5 years. And I kind of invited myself. I was like, my dad didn't necessarily think to invite one of his sons, and my other 2 brothers couldn't make it. But I was like, Dad, I can go. And so for 9 or 10 days, we drove around southern Germany, a slice of Austria, and ended up in northern France. And it was, we literally slept in the same bed at some nights, and some nights it was like those twin European beds kind of pushed together. So, it was, pretty intimate for 8-9 days with my dad. And he just turned 80 a couple weeks ago. So, it could be the last trip like that. I'm assuming it is the last trip of that nature, because he's got Parkinson's and it's starting to rear its ugly head. But it was a beautiful trip. It wasn't a trip I would have planned, or it didn't matter what it was. I was just glad to be there and, get some one-on-one time with my dad. And
what a gift. That's not only for him, but for you. And what a great role model for your sons and daughter as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
There's a great quote that I love that somebody else taught me. It's, remember the men who dug the well from which we drink the water. And I just think so often about legacy and there's good and bad legacy, right? Like there's some things that our parents have done that we don't want to carry forward.
Yeah.
But that's great. Those are great lessons too. And in this particular case, just what a beautiful memory that you'll have forever.
Yeah. It also makes me just realize too that, men can evolve and change.
Yeah.
Who my father was when I was growing up, he was a great father in so many ways. He provided and things. He didn't provide the emotional support and those sort of things. But you know what? I've forgiven him, and it wasn't like I had this bad childhood by any means. I had a fantastic childhood. But the way he is over the last 30, 40 years is incredible. And a lot of people in our family even say that, to him, so he's aware of it too, that he's evolved.
Viktor Frankl was a student of Sigmund Freud, and they had a falling out, and they never repaired it. But he was asked about Sigmund Freud, and he said it's easy, and this is not his quote, but he used to use it a lot. It's easy to look down upon a giant when you're standing on his shoulders. Right. And I think that for most men listening, we've got to remember that we're standing on the shoulders of giants. Now, sometimes it's just not true, but most of the time, even if it's not the giant, it's the giant beneath him and the giant beneath him going back. And I just think it's important for men to have that context.
Yeah.
And you obviously do, and you've modeled it. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're a mensch, Steve. Thanks, buddy.
For a guy who thought it was
you.
13 minutes and wouldn't be able to fill it, we did pretty good. And your story needs to be heard. So
I lost track of time. I don't even know what we're at.
It's good time, and we're going to have you back because you are one of the OG of Man Uprising, now men's peer groups. So
I'd love to come back.
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, guys.